The crack of my stepmother's hand across my face rang out sharper than the gale-force wind howling against the $11 million cliffside estate. It wasn't the burn that cut deepest. It was the absolute certainty in her eyes, the unshakable belief that I would always bend. Sign the transfer, Sophia. My half-sister Vanessa pushed the engraved titanium pen toward me like she was doing me a favor. You were never meant for the spotlight. Stick to your quiet corners and let the real heirs handle the legacy. I glanced at Mr. Harrington, our ancient family lawyer, who had barely spoken in the 3 hours of veiled threats and champagne-fueled ultimatums. He steepled his fingers, voice low and deliberate. Do you have the faintest idea who actually planted the seed money for everything you're trying to carve up tonight? The question dangled, unfinished. The room seemed to lose all oxygen. For 26 years I had carried the truth alone while they built palaces on lies. To understand that slap, you need the 26 years of smaller violences that came before. I grew up inside Seacliff House, a modernist fortress of steel, glass, and secrets overlooking the Atlantic. To the world we were the Harrington dynasty, reinvented shipping money turned venture capital royalty. Inside the walls I was the leftover. Vanessa was the masterpiece, charismatic, viciously beautiful, and utterly adored. My father Richard had orbited her like she was the sun. My stepmother Lillian treated me as unpaid staff. When Dad's mind began dissolving into Alzheimer's, they escaped to Capri and Aspen. I stayed. For almost 4 years I was 23, playing doctor, bookkeeper, and emotional airbag. Lillian's rare calls were never about his decline. They were complaints about delayed wire transfers. Dad died 5 weeks ago. Their helicopter touched down before the hospice nurse left the driveway. They arrived not to mourn, but to appraise. They priced the Rothkos, measured the wine cellar, discussed demolition permits for a contemporary rebuild. The estate, house, private shoreline, $11 million in liquid assets, was the glittering carcass. One complication. Dad had rewritten the trust 6 months before the end. Local law required my countersignature to shift primary title. Hence tonight's ambush in the ocean-facing study, surrounded by first editions no one had touched in decades. Vanessa reclined in obsidian satin, tapping a diamond cluster against her glass. Come on, Sophia. You're happiest with your succulents and your library holds. This place demands charisma. Sign it over. I'll arrange a tidy monthly allowance. You'll be set for life. Allowance. My throat felt raw. I've managed this property for 4 years, meds, payroll, IRS notices, while you were buying vintage Chanel in Portofino. Lillian's palm hit the desk like a gunshot. Don't you dare take that tone with your sister. You were a live-in aid. A convenience. Richard was barely lucid those last months. We are the face of this family. You are scenery. Sign. No. The word was quiet. It detonated anyway. Lillian surged upright and slapped me hard enough to make my vision swim. You'll sign, she breathed, wine sour and venomous, or I'll have security drag you out tonight. Your room here has always been a courtesy I can revoke. Cheek flaming, I looked to Mr. Harrington. He exhaled once, then spoke the line that rewrote my entire existence. Do you know who actually provided the original capital that launched this entire fortune? Lillian turned the color of old parchment. Vanessa scoffed, but the sound cracked. Grandfather. It's old family money. Everyone knows. Mr. Harrington drew out a brittle manila envelope. Incorrect. Your grandfather's company went insolvent in 1998. Every cent since then flows from a sealed trust created by Richard's first wife, Sophia's biological mother. She was never the tragic nobody who died giving birth. She was an heiress who bankrolled your father's early risks. The trust has an ironclad bloodline provision. Lillian, you have lived on discretionary distributions Richard permitted out of sentiment. You never owned title. And Sophia, he met my eyes with something close to sorrow. You became the sole principal beneficiary the moment you turned 25. The full vesting only awaited Richard's death. You don't need to sign anything. This house, the portfolio, the future, it already belongs to you. The silence was tidal. Vanessa lunged for the folder. Harrington lifted it away without hurry. Filed. Notarized. Public record. Dad had buried the truth to protect me from exactly this reckoning. I stood. Legs unsteady, voice steady. I looked at the woman who had spent a lifetime convincing me I was an interloper in my own blood. The woman who had just struck me to keep her stolen kingdom. Is it true? Lillian stared at the floorboards. Your mother thought feelings trumped finance, she muttered. And you thought theft trumped family, I answered. The power in the room tilted like the horizon during a squall. I walked to the bar, poured myself water they had never once offered me. So, I said, turning. Let's discuss tomorrow. Sophia, sweetheart. Lillian's tone flipped to syrupy panic. We're still family. I was grieving. Overwhelmed. The slap was. Mr. Harrington, I cut in, eyes locked on Vanessa. As sole title holder and trustee, what rights do I have regarding current occupants? He allowed the smallest smile. They become guests. You may terminate residency, freeze trust-linked accounts, reclaim estate vehicles, cancel all supplementary credit. You wouldn't, Vanessa hissed. You're the shadow. Always have been. Shadows notice everything, I said. I've noticed every cut, every scheme, every hidden transfer for 26 years. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. You have 48 hours, I told them calmly. To remove only your personal belongings, clothing, jewelry you bought yourself, non-estate items. The art stays. The cars stay. The accounts are already locked. Vanessa's face crumpled. Where are we supposed to go? You still have the downtown penthouse, Vanessa. The one purchased with the consulting fees you siphoned from Dad's treatment fund last year. I kept the receipts. Lillian's composure shattered. You're cruel. No, I said, heading for the door. I'm finished being convenient. The next morning I watched from the terrace as packers loaded their monogrammed cases into vans. Vanessa wept. Lillian raged into dead phone lines. Society would gossip for seasons. But inside Seacliff House, for the first time in my life, the silence felt like freedom.